welcome to the Distinctive Bullshit Podcast. This is Omari J.
And this is, this is Whitney Renee. And welcome everyone.
Welcome to the What If episode. This is our take on a couple of topics that we were just discussing.
I mean, they are pretty disgusting when you think about it.
No, they're not. The first one is nice. I like the first one.
Okay.
But so we're going to jump right into it. So the first topic was really a question that I brought to Whitney here about what would a 32-hour work week look like. So if you're not familiar, and depending on where you're listening from, in the U.S. here, in I think it was California, there was a bill introduced where they were proposing moving from a 40-hour work week to a 32-hour work week, with a couple caveats being, the main caveat being your pay would increase to reflect you still making that 40-hour work week salary, but within 32 hours. So in my opinion, if you're going to enforce, well, I shouldn't say enforce, but if you're going to push and legalize and turn the new work week into a 32-hour work week, there's a lot of foundational, institutional things that really need to change.
Like what?
For one, insurance. Insurance is offered to full-time employees that work 40 hours or more.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you that there's happened with Obamacare, but go ahead.
Yeah, but that's.
But I'm just saying, no, go ahead, make your points, and then I'm gonna dissect you.
Okay. All right. So insurance.
So number one, Obamacare.
No, not Obamacare, not ACA as it is. That's just for anybody to be able to pick up insurance. But if you want insurance through your company, which is could be better than Obamacare or the ACA, that's going to have to redefine. Insurance companies are going to have to redefine, or not. Well, insurance companies and employers are going to have to redefine what full time looks like. If 32 hours a week is full time and anything over that is overtime, insurance is you're going to have to offer it for almost everybody at that point.
Are you talking about what, insurance?
Insurance through your company, yes,
okay,
as a
so
whole.
You're speaking specifically
through your company,
okay.
Yes, not anything else. Because now I think what they say 34.25 hours is considered full time or something like that.
I don't know. I thought it was more like 36 hours.
It could be. I could be wrong. I'd have to look it up. But so that's one thing.
And honestly, I think that varies by state. I think.
That's federal.
Is it?
Yeah.
It might be. It might be. All I know is I'm tired of working full time 40 hours. So that's all right.
It's 32 hours is good with me. Like, yeah.
Okay, so that was one. Okay,
so that's one. What was the other? I was thinking of the other one. What's considered overtime? Well, obviously they would have to compensate you for the pay because that's in the 8 hours that you would be missing. 16 hours, 32, or what is it? 32 hours a month.
Okay, so let's play a scenario type role. Let's say someone who works at Walmart, just as an example, they work at Walmart, and now it's state in like an actual law that employees are considered full-time working only 32 hours a week, right?
Yep.
So now they don't get a full 40-hour a week, and let's say the beginning pay is, example, $15 an hour. So what would that metric look like for every, I feel like it should be for every hour that is taken out of that 40-hour, you need a percentage in like a dollar amount to make up for that.
That's actually something like that is being, that's kind of what goes into that whole bill, because when you talk about cutting 8 hours, that 8 hours could be
detrimental.
It could be significant to some people, definitely. But they're, in order to compensate for that, they're going to have to. You don't have a choice.
So what would you? Do you think that's a bad thing?
No, because in the United Kingdom, they already did a study, and I was just looking at this earlier. So there were 3,000 employees that were put into this program to pilot a 32-hour work week. I don't remember the name of the company, but or the companies that participated in it, but they said that it was so successful that the employers and the employees said that they would never go back to a 40-hour work week because productivity was up, employee morale was up, employee happiness was up. There was more time with the family.
I bet their asses didn't have to work with people they didn't want to work with.
Well, that
I mean, shit, don't threaten me with a good time is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But then they said of those 3,000 people, 15% said that you could never pay them any amount of money to go back to working 40-hour work weeks ever again.
So how do you think, how do you think that America, because at this point, I think we're speaking specifically for America.
Americans,
what does that
yeah.
look like? I know you were concerned about the hourly amount and then the health care, but what else?
Vacation time, because vacation time is only provided to full-time employees after they work so many hours, but then they only get so many hours for the year based on that full-time status. Right. So now that you're working less hours, does that mean you get less PTO?
I would say probably, because they look at it like, well, you have an extra day off, so why would you need to necessarily take? I'm just speaking from an American point of view.
I think that's the fucked up part about it too.
It is that my responses are thinking like, I don't necessarily think on topics on how I would view it, but more how America would view it, because we think about things like the pandemic. This is my take on it. Anything could be done, and the pandemic showed me that. It showed me that job that they told you couldn't
employers
do from
are
home,
full of shit,
and the jobs that they said you could never do at home can be done at home. The amount of flexibility that they said that they just can't provide for their employees can be done. So with that in mind, you have to kind of outweigh, if this does become law in a state, in California or here, Illinois, New York, wherever the case may be. I think you have to look at it like, how is America going to view it? Because my take on it is, I think that the way that we work as Americans, I hear this all the time from different people from different countries. Americans work too hard. And
I see that all over the internet.
Yes, and they're working too hard for what? What do they say we work hard for? The what?
Pay bills?
Nope.
What
do we work hard for? I'm living the what?
American dream.
And I say the only way you can live the American dream is when you're fucking asleep, because everything is fucking expensive. And I know
you can dream about having the American dream, yeah.
But in all reality, it's the American dream needs to get back to what people think their own version of the dream is, because me working all the time to hit a status quo or to be up, that's not an American dream for me. I don't really necessarily, I don't want to work. I don't want to work and have to retire when I'm in my 70s. Excuse me. At all. I do not want to do that. So
to that point, I kid you not, maybe 10 minutes ago, I saw a post on Reddit. I'm a very Reddit person, if you haven't noticed by now.
Reddit.
But yeah, and it was, again, under the anti-work subreddit. Mm-hmm. But this post said, the guy said that the retirement age should be no higher than 50 or 52. And he said because his mother worked until she was 70, or no, she lived until she was 70. So all the golden years that they claim that you're going to have once you retire at 67, she didn't really get to have. And because of that, he said that all her friends, every one of her friends had died before they got to retirement age.
Yeah.
So why push retirement so far out? So if we'll say that we lower the retirement age to 60, that's 7 years younger than what it is right now, because my retirement age is going to be at 67. We'll say it's 60.
My retirement age is
probably like 51,
57. But go ahead.
What does that look like? Like, you work 32 hours a week. Retirement age is now 60.
Okay.
What do you do with all that extra time? How do you go about life in this new world where you have so much time to actually enjoy your quote unquote golden years? Vacations, more investing? Are you going to spend more time with your family? You're going to pick up a side hustle or start your own business because now you have more time to do that. You have more time to spend in planning and figuring out the logistics of how to get your own business started. Like, maybe you want to go to school.
Are you talking about after the retirement age?
No, well, not after the retirement age, but like as a whole, like from the 32-hour work week, like I'm 30, I'll be 39 this year, from 39 until 60.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have an extra day off and I'm
Mm-hmm.
working 8 hours less than I was before.
I think that people would actually fill that time up with more bullshit to create and cause chaos. And the only reason why I say that, I'm not against it. You already know I'm not against it. But I say that we already as people say, "Oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time." But given that extra day, I feel like some people, in a sense, will really take advantage of that, and some people won't. I think again, it reverts back to what will Americans. I'm not just talking about as the whole entire universe or country, different countries, because again, it's already been proven that Americans
Work harder than anybody else.
yeah, they
Well, no,
work.
I wouldn't say anybody else
No,
because
Americans work hard and
harder
they work really hard and they're away from their families more for the sake of, oh, I'm just living the American dream, or I got to do this and I got to do that, but we really don't need to. I think at a lot of times we overextend ourselves for the sake of jobs.
in developed countries, that's yes.
What?
We in like America is a developed country.
Yeah.
We overextend ourselves more than
Yeah.
other developed countries do
And
for the sake of work and money.
I mean, think about it, even down to like the health care and stuff, as far as like for women and time off and families and time off.
It's bullshit.
There, my cousin that lives in Australia got something crazy like 4 or 6 months or something off of work after having her daughter. And that's
Mhm.
crazy to me, but that's a great crazy. To me, there's women that I personally know that literally had a baby on the 1st and was back to work on the 10th. That is not normal. That is not, no one should be proud of that.
Mm-mm.
And honestly, I think that we have to get out of we have to get out of the mindset of because you work 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, it's an accomplishment. You're working hard.
What?
You don't have
not
to.
wait. Hold on. Not even that not even that it's an accomplishment, but the fact that it's an accomplishment for the things that you have at home because you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week.
Right. Like I agree with that. Like if I had it my way, I think I would want to work 3 days out of the week, maybe 4. I would be okay with 4. 3 to 4 times out of the week, and I think I would want the option to work a 40-hour week. So not make the 32-hour a standard, but make it an option to work that 40. I mean,
Why would you stay with 40 though?
only because, okay, let's play devil's advocate. There's people that are avid like workaholics. That would mess with them mentally to make it law that 32 hours is,
Shorten my work week.
yeah.
But
And it is. I mean, and there's people that, again, I'm thinking like Americans. I'm thinking like Americans, not for me per se, but there would be people that would protest it and say, "You're taking away my freedom to work for the land." Because
man.
you know they
Shut
would.
up.
You're taking away my right. It's my right to
Right,
work.
I
I'm
could-
just saying.
Kind of dipping into the political and kind of keeping my Bigfoot out of it. I could see that being a thing where they're trying to shorten the work weeks, and this is going to be so detrimental to society
To
and
the
blah blah blah
economy.
to the economy. And
Yeah.
please explain how.
Yep. And I'm just saying, I'm saying things that Americans would say and people that live by this whole golden rule. Honestly, I think we need to get back to really, when you think about it, the person that came up with the bright idea, everything that Americans have done historically has literally been a way to keep families away from their families. And I say this because of this. You can ask your grandmother, your great grandfather, your granny, your aunties, your uncles. Back in the day, there was no such thing as second and third shift at all.
No, that
There was
that
a
was
thing
not
where
a thing
you worked.
long time ago.
Yeah, you worked. Everybody was home by 5 or 6 p.m. They had times with their families. You didn't see so many people committing suicide and doing things because
There
they
was a
actually
better
have
work-life balance.
exactly. There was where families would come together at the dinner table and talk about how their day was and different things. You can't do that now when one parent is working first shift and the other one's working second or a third shift. And it's because we have to it has to be go, 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 hustle and bustle.
Because
hustle
we
and
got
bustle.
bills to pay because everything's so fucking expensive and
So whoever came up with that dumbass shit is just dumb. Because who in their right mind, why do we have to overcompensate, and why do we have to let go of the family, value, and the whole work ethic as a whole, and you're told that, oh, well, if you don't work full time, you're lazy. And if you do work full time and you're away from your kids, you're a bad parent. But this is what companies have set in place. And it's like that for a reason.
Yeah.
So I say, what if we did have a 3-day work week? That should be fire as hell. And I would be all for it. And I would probably just drop down to 2 and just really make me a part-time. I would go completely part-time and spend more time with my kids and doing the things that I do and enjoy, because studies shows that when you are pouring into more of the things that you like, you're happier.
That is true.
You're happier.
That is very true. Okay.
So what would you do if you?
Well, I mean, in my personal experience, I kind of lived it for a short while because I worked 3 days a week, but I worked 3/12s.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing
Yeah.
being able to work 3 days and then get off and have 4 days off.
So with that being said, just think about the dynamic that our household was in. When you were working your little measly 3 days and I was working 5 days out of the week. Yeah, you were working longer hours. But because you're nice and rejuvenated and refreshed, I didn't have time. I didn't want to do anything.
You didn't want
to
do anything.
Days.
Yeah, you only had 2 days. Had 2 days off and was rejuvenated, ready to go for the third day. Like, let's go climb a mountain or something.
And I'm like, but why? I go to work tomorrow. It's stuff like that.
It's stuff like that. Yeah.
I think that people don't. I guess they would have to set a standard on.
There would have to be a limit, I think.
Honestly, I think it would have to be an option. Like, you would have to opt in on a yearly basis and say, this year I'm working the maximum 40 hours, and this year I'm opting in to only do a 32, and they would have to staff accordingly.
Or
if they did something like that, I think a lot more people would be on board. I really do. I think
to give it an option.
Yep, to give you an option, because again, you're gonna have that person. You're taking away my right to earn for my family. I'm telling you, people are going to.
Yes,
like
there would be some crazy, like they just don't have the brain cells to process the what.
It'll be hashtag I can't provide for my family. Maybe hashtag I can't provide for my family because it's gonna say no to 32. Watch,
Yeah.
it'll be a whole protest. We know how this is gonna go. People were upset about the pandemic. I'm just saying.
That is true.
When they shut down
everything. Yeah. Now you're giving people the option to work even less. We're not shutting down. We're just working less.
We're just working less. They're like, no, you guys are lazy.
What about my haircuts? Jesus. Okay.
I can't get my nails done.
Yeah.
I swear, I feel like sometimes we are like little teenage boys and girls that don't.
I would say this: being in a developed nation, you are privileged to the things you're privileged and accustomed to the things that you're not given, you've earned.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked hard for. Okay, so maybe the the pandemic shutting down, those people were, they liked going to the barber.
Still ain't working. People are like, I'm not about to. We talk about that all the time.
All the time.
You know who's going to pass that?
Oh.
The biggest drivers on that bill is going to be the millennials and people underneath.
Oh yeah,
the millennials.
Millennials and I'm telling you, once our parents become grandparents.
Oh yeah.
And
most of our parents aren't grandparents, babe. You mean when they're like
great grandparents? Thank you.
Dear Lord.
God, I feel so young sometimes. And
oh, you're not, sir. You're almost pushing 40.
Shut up.
Time to stop. Let go them golden years. Okay? Or not golden years.
No, it's the golden years.
Because, okay, so I say that the millennials and everybody below us is going to push that, because like how me and you talk about, there's people like my younger siblings that are like 24 and everybody like underneath. I say from the age group of like, I'm going to say 27 and under. So 27 to 18 is going to be the biggest driving force of that. Again, they're going to be like, ew, why would I go to work 9 to 5?
But that's the thing. They're already doing that now.
Ew, why would I do that when I can just be a YouTube blogger and make
more money than what company A is over here trying to pay? Oh, we'll pay you $32,000 a year if you be a manager for this tech team.
People will say, they're not going to do that. People are going to say, well, Wait, so you want me to work 40 hours a week?
What? No, no, no. Hold on. You want me to go to school, get
Oh
a
yeah.
master's degree, be in debt, then get out of school, and you want me to work 40 hours a week, making $26 an hour?
No, 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 no. Right now, the average person, I think, with a bachelor's degree is only making something about 22
Are
to
you
25 an hour.
serious?
Yes. That's about the average. And that really depends and varies by state. So again, you're taking people, and I think that's why it would get a lot of pushback. Those older generations would be like, absolutely, I'm not about to give up my work ethic for some young people that don't want to work. And I've worked hard for this.
Yeah, I work
I went to school to do the field that I'm in and to get the hours that I
back
need
when
to
it
get.
back when it cost them $1,200 for a
For
4-year degree.
Yep,
You know,
but now it
something.
doesn't. It costs you over what is like over 80 or 90,000 for a degree, and then they come out and they're not even making that much. So, moral of the story is,
A
I
lot
feel
of things would have to change. A lot
Yeah.
there would have to be a lot of systemic things that have to change in order for a 32-hour work week to become law and be effective and appease everybody. That's the big thing. It has to appease everybody.
allegedly,
I mean, I get it's
allegedly,
time
the government will pass whatever they feel like is going to be suitable for them. I'm just saying,
for them,
Yeah,
not the
for them.
people, for them.
exactly. So that's why I said allegedly.
Yeah.
It'll be for them. What can we do to make us work less? I'm telling you, I'm thinking
Yeah.
like an
Okay,
American. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we're going to take a break here. We got a couple more what ifs. So thank you again, guys, for tuning in. We'll be back.
Welcome back. This is Omari J, and we're going to continue our what if conversation with the
Go ahead.
what? Why are you laughing? With
not laughing. I'm
with
just saying.
education. So I watched a Vice video. Was it like yesterday or 2 days ago? It was a discussion between some school teachers, some parents, and some like school activists.
Mhm.
And they were talking about the education system in America
Mhm.
and how public school is, I don't want to use the wrong term, but being attacked
Okay.
the way it is right now, with teachers not being able to talk about certain topics, certain curriculum being banned, books being banned. And one of the things that really drew me that drew me to the conversation was how these people kept talking about how teachers are not allowed to discuss their sexuality with their kids, with like their students, if they're asked. So one of the teachers on there was gay, clearly gay, wore makeup and everything, but he was very on point with all of his comment. Like, I don't teach my kids about my sexuality. I don't push, onto them like, yes, me and my partner, we do that. He was none of that. But he made it very clear. If one of my students asks me,
Mhm.
I answer them honestly, and it stops right there. Why is that not okay? Why is it
So
always?
is that a what if or why is that not okay?
What if we left the public school system the way it is,
Okay.
but we actually funded it the way it needs to be properly funded, the way that funding goes to these private schools and it goes to these charter schools? How do you think the public school system where we live would change if it was funded properly? Schools were updated, recent books were given to the students, you paid the teachers what they need to be paid.
That's a tricky question because the what if is all based on your demographics and how you contribute to that to that school system. So it's one of those things where typically school systems that have higher income earners, they get updated books, they get updated buildings, they get up. But as far as, I guess, where was you going with the whole
No,
thing?
that my thing is just what happens to the entire public school system. We'll stick to where we're at, where we live right now. What happens to the public school system with the way it is versus if we were actually, we'll say they raise taxes for everybody in the city.
But I'm confused on your point with
My-
what.
What happens to the public school system if it's properly funded? What does that do
Nothing.
for the what does that do for the students? Like,
Nothing.
does that improve their education? Does it improve teacher pay? Does it provide, more updated books? Does it provide updated course materials? Like, what do you, out of your eyes, because you're a product of the school system, what benefit do you see coming from that if it was funded correctly?
Nothing.
Why not? Because people don't
I'm
want.
still stuck on how we went from the funding part of it to the sexuality of the teacher.
No,
That's
that
what
was
I was like. Wait, what?
no, because the okay. I guess I kind of
mean,
did.
yeah,
I kind of
because-
got away.
yeah,
I
you
kind of
got-
got away from that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Okay, so if you all right, so we'll scratch everything I just said. So with the teacher,
Jesus. Okay.
okay, we allow teachers to just be teachers because once the kids are out of our care and they go to school for the day, they're in the teacher's care.
Okay.
They're in their care. So if a student comes up to a teacher like, "Hey, I noticed that you dress kind of, like a guy, or you put on makeup, maybe you put on makeup, whatever. Why do you do that?" If a student asks the teacher that, why can't the teacher answer the question without getting in trouble?
I feel like they can, but that's not the problem.
What's the
Okay, now I'm gonna go back and revert back to thinking like just a normal person. Most of those conversations need to be had at home so kids know how to properly address that when they're in the public. So, example, remember when
I got something
Phoenix-
for you. Go ahead.
the reason
All the
remember
little-
when Phoenix when we was out and he saw a really big fat person.
Yes, I do.
I mean,
remember.
he was like, "Whoa, he's fat." That was an eye opener for me because I didn't properly have a conversation with him prior to that. You
That's
are
the-
supposed to set. This is how I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
To me, you're supposed to set. You are the tone of your children, meaning you want your kids to understand and recognize things in the proper. Yes, it takes a community to help them learn things, but it starts at home. So I know for a fact I don't want our kids to ever have to ask a teacher that because, quite honestly, that's none of their business.
It's none of their business whatsoever.
However, if I'm teaching them that at home, they'll see it for what it is and they'll move on because really, a school is a place to learn, not to ask personal questions, and that goes for teachers, students, friends, whatever the case may be. You're supposed to be going to school to learn. So I guess I would say have those conversations with your kids before you know what I'm saying, before they get into those more established environments where they may see things that are not what would be politically considered the norm.
Here's my objection to that, though. You see that now with racism. Parents aren't teaching their kids that, oh, there's nothing wrong with black people or Asian people or anything like that. The racist parents are teaching their kids to be just as racist as they are, if not more.
And then you teach your kids that, hey, there's going to be racist people. There are going to be black people. There's going to be white people, Asians, Puerto Ricans that will come off as if they're not racist, and secretly they are because that's a part of their heritage.
I know we've had that conversation with
our kids.
Already.
So it's not going to bother them if somebody calls them something. I'm going to get them to the point where if somebody calls them something, they'll be able to respond to them in a way that'll piss them off. They're going to be able to cuss
to
them
make
out.
them look stupid without overreacting.
Point.
Yeah.
Like there's just some things that you kind of have to, I would say the worldly ways, you kind of have to take things for what they are and understand that there's going to be someone that's going to be different than you, better than you, could be outsmart you, whatever the case may be, but it's how you handle it. And really think about the question before you ask it. How is that going to make your life better? From a kid, me as a kid, let's say I'm in middle school or in high school, me asking a teacher, well, why do you wear makeup? Why is that going to be beneficial to my life?
Because kids are nosy.
Okay. And ask your parents that. Watch it. Again, there's so much technology and that goes to the story of like when people that are not black will go up to a black woman and say, oh, is that your hair? Bitch, you know damn well it's not. So why? but it doesn't matter. You have YouTube videos. You've talked to people. You've asked other black people.
They choose not to investigate.
Exactly.
Okay.
People pick and choose what they want to have a conversation about, whether it's important or not. That's bottom line of the story.
Yeah,
really not
true.
the education system. So when I said like, how would it change if it was properly funded? Go back to that question. I don't think anything will change. It has to. the only way the change is gonna happen is gonna be change within the parents and community. Has nothing to do with funding, because you can have some of the
Well, the school
uh
system that that what the Columbus City is underfunded.
kind of.
No, it is.
Mm, I'm gonna say kind of.
Why do you say?
I'm
Well,
gonna say kind of.
I okay. I see where you're going with that, because there's some, like, they could be charging an ass load of money for these contracts to be busing these out of district kids to and
Hmm.
from their schools. They
Yep.
need to be. I'm not
Getting rid of
exploiting,
no,
but
no, no, no. They need to get rid of those different said contracts and make the city, the people that aren't in that Columbus City district, foot
pay
the
up.
bill.
Yes,
They don't
exactly.
need
That's
to.
what I mean.
That's what
If
I'm
they
saying.
if
So
they
that's why
if they hold a contract with Hilliard City for whatever
no,
reason,
they don't need to.
we'll say they do. Okay, well, in this contract, since you guys have money, we're gonna need $2-3 million to cover travel, maintenance, paying the employees, and whatever else, tires and all of that stuff for these buses. For
Well, they already get that. That's the thing. They
well,
get
they
that. That's
they
not
need
the
to charge
problem.
more.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is they are putting and I feel like school system are doing there. Some school systems are doing this all around the country. What they're saying is, you're good at we'll pay you X amount to bus our kids. We want you to bus our kids to our schools, and then we'll give you the bare minimum because you're inner city. What if we change the way we did the schooling system, not the way that they're funding, but the way that you have access to education? Let's start with that. If I mean that's a more to me that's a better way of viewing it. If I live within a certain mile radius
Of a school,
of a
any
school,
school.
any school, whether I'm Columbus City, Hilliard. For those of you that don't know, we live in Ohio. So if I'm in a certain mile radius within a school district, I should have equal opportunity to be afforded to go to that school, whether it's outside of the line or not, for the mere fact that Columbus City is the largest school system and provides half of the transportation
For everybody else.
and for everybody else, but we're not allowed to go to their schools. What if the city that you work in, your kids could have access to go to their schools? It makes no sense that I work in Dublin, I pay your
I
fucking
paid taxes and
but my kids can't go to your school.
yeah, I don't
So
like that.
again, I'm giving you my money, my quote unquote hard earned money, and I'm putting it into your kids' future because they're getting the updated books, they're getting the updated everything. It goes beyond if it was properly funded.
But
No.
that's part of being properly funded. Like
Yeah.
if you start honestly, we'll say if Columbus City started nickel and diming every other city around that they take care of, I guarantee you'll see a change in how
Of
things are
course,
funded.
because people up in Bexley going to be like, "Oh, my kid going to Columbus City because we're getting double taxed." People that you get, like how we get double taxed, like how I have to pay Columbus and I have to pay Dublin.
Yeah.
Imagine how that would change. I bet you because I live in Columbus, I would be only responsible for Columbus taxes, and they would stop making me pay for Dublin. Y'all have all the money. You have all.
You
the
don't
fun-
need my money.
You don't need my money. Well, you need my little ass salary check. I mean, I'm just saying. But I think that's not just an Ohio thing. I think
That's,
that's
I mean, it
that's a
happens
thing
everywhere.
in
Yeah.
different states here. So what if the school systems were designed to equally provide support to families or kids,
Regardless of your location. If
Location.
you are within
Yeah.
a mile or two of a school,
No, a
you sh-
mile or two.
a
Nigga,
mile-
I'm saying like 10, 15 miles.
Oh no, that's but like
It's
you
not.
no, like you said, if because you work so
Yeah.
far away, yes, they should have that opportunity and be afforded to go to those schools. If you can get them there, there should be no reason why they can't go there if you're
Exactly.
paying taxes there.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you 1,000% on that. But like how we live, our kids go to school. The school's like 5 or 6 minutes away, but there are literally a middle school, an elementary school, and a high school across the street from where we live, and our kids cannot go to those schools because it's a different district.
Yeah. That's stupid.
It's stupid.
But
It-
that's a way to keep the poor, quote
In-
unquote, where
in
they're
the poor
supposed to be in the
area, yeah.
poor areas or the the not so well areas and
It's like
then the
redlining
suburb.
for schools.
Yeah, it is.
Is what it is.
And it will always be that way because people feel like, oh, I'm a homeowner, I pay my taxes, my kids need to do this. Okay, so think about, and this is the crazy thing: most people don't work in the city where they live, and because of that, You have so many people that, like I said, work in these little suburb areas, and their kids, I mean, they're struggling to get them back and forth to school because of the busing.
Yeah, I don't get that. Why?
I mean, that's
I
just the thing.
don't
But I'm
understand
just
that.
saying, I mean, that's
They're
the
so,
thing.
but that's part of the problem because the school districts seem to be more worried about fulfilling their contractual agreements with these other cities that the buses in Columbus run behind.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So our kids could take the bus to school. Well, one of our kids could take the bus to school, but we don't put them on the bus because the buses are anywhere between 10 to an hour and a half late.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's
but
unreal.
a lot of that again goes to what we talked about earlier about the different working. Nobody wants to work right now. So because
I
of
don't.
that,
Okay, let's not do
they
that because it's
don't.
not that people don't want to work.
Well, they have a
People are
short.
not. No,
They're not
people
paid.
are
They're not.
not
They're
being
paid.
paid what they need to be paid for these positions, and people don't want to work. If they can make more money doing a side hustle A,
Mm-hmm.
why would I work for company A?
I got it. I got it. What if your pay? Let's say you still get like an evaluation performance,
Mm-hmm.
but your pay was based on the amount of time that you spent in that specific industry. Kind of like your points for Social Security.
Man, I would be rich. No,
You see what I'm saying? But you see what I'm saying? Because think
Yeah.
about it. What it says that a hairstylist, which is using this as an example,
Yeah.
somebody that works in the cosmetology field, they've been in this field from, let's say, right out of high school. They're right out of high school and they're in their mid 40s right now. So you're
Yeah.
talking about 18 or 19 all the way to their mid 40s. And maybe they started off right out of cosmetology school making nothing as like $4-5 an hour. Now we're in present day 2023, and now they're only making $12 an hour. How is that okay? It should be a
That's
system.
not
Put,
okay.
It should be a system put in place. You get kind of like
Tiers.
yeah, like tiers, like the military. Like you know how you get like different ranks. So from this one is a rank. Your pay is automatically between X and Z. Then once you get you're 1 year in that field to 5 years, your pay range is anywhere as like minimum wage up until let's
But-
say 10 an hour.
That's but you know that's the like in corporate America, that's how it is.
Kind of.
That because at major companies they have tiers.
I get that, but it's based off of the way I'm talking about as an industry as a whole. Yeah, you have bands, different pay bands and stuff.
Right.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, what if we had a system in place where, again, that hairstylist from year 1 through 5, they make anywhere at the minimum of $8 an hour, at max 12. Year 6 through 10, you're anywhere between 12 and 18.
Obviously,
would
these
keep
are
people-
hypothetical
these
numbers.
are hypothetical
There-
numbers. These
Nobody's
ain't real
gonna
numbers.
be. Yeah.
But I'm saying, just think that person that has been in that industry for over 10, 20 years would be making a earnable, livable wage based off experience, expertise, client base.
Well, at that point, it should be way over.
Exactly.
you know.
Continuous learning and education. I think that would prompt people too to take ownership of their own growth and development. Because for
I
me
think so, too.
personally, I'm not going to stick with a job and you tell me that I've been here for a year and I'm only worth 50 cents.
My all my efforts
It's
and
worth a 50 cent.
Yeah.
So what if we had like pay merits based on the number of years that you was in that industry? And I think that's how you stop shortages for teachers. Once you're a teacher, the first year, the first 1 to 5 years, this is your guaranteed
you start
salary.
out between, depending on what grade level that you're at, you start out between 50 and 65 a year
Mhm.
starting.
Yep. Because I don't even want to say grade level. And the reason
Not grade level, no.
No, because again, I
Them
have a
them
whole
younger
theory-
kids, them younger kids
There-
are a
those are-
handful, but them older kids,
no, I don't necessarily think the younger kids are a handful. The younger kids are the most impressionable. That's the biggest time that they need the most influences when they're younger. So why like you said, like, okay, you are a teacher for 1 year right after you do your little study and then your mentoring and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and then you go in there, like you said, it should be like 50 to 60 based on what your major or something.
yeah, just
as an
throw it out
example.
there, yeah.
And then year 6 through 10, you know for a fact you're
You gonna be
making
making
65 to 75, and then you're 10 plus, you're making at least your
you're
minimum
make it should be
like
no less
80.
than 85.
Exactly.
No less than
People would
85.
stay in their professions, and people would really take and take on like ownership of their own personal growth and development in a way to keep instilling, encouraging people to stay in these fields.
If I
like,
knew I was guaranteed
yeah.
X amount of dollars because this is the pay range for this years of experience and blah 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 blah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the what ifs. That's a
Absolutely.
lot of good. That's a lot of good what ifs. But I think people don't. People are caught on. I have the education and experience. It doesn't matter. I know several people that don't have the education but have the experience and will dog
me.
walk. What?
That's me.
But I'm saying that would dog walk as far as like the skill set over someone over somebody that has the degree.
That has the degree
Yeah.
and no time is yeah, that's very true. I can get with that.
On a lighter note, my what if question is: what if we had a real life fight club?
We were talking about this right before we started the podcast.
That's
Like,
because how
there
cool
was
would that be?
if there was a registered fight, so kind of like the MMA, but for the government. All right, every state had their own MMA registry, and you could opt to fight somebody once a month. You
No,
could
not
fight
once a
anybody
month.
you wanted.
Not once a month.
Well, you
You
need
had-
because
you
if
had
you
that
got into a fight before, we'll say you got into the fight at week 1, you don't want to be fighting again in week 3. You got to have time to heal
Not
and
once
all
a
this stuff.
month. I'm saying you get like a once in a lifetime thing.
Oh, it's a once in a
Kinda like-
lifetime.
not a month. You want to beat people's asses on a regular monthly
Maybe
basis?
you got a list of 10 people. I don't know.
I was not talking about that. I'm talking about what if you had, like you said, like a registry, like, okay, fight scene.
Oh, Bob's Burgers is great.
What if you had, like, you put your number, your information, contact information, like, hey, yo, fuck this
Come
shit. I'm about
see
to
me
beat Mary's
in the-
ass,
in the-
right? And Mary's on that ticket. Mary's on that ticket. We just using Mary. And then your name and number gets picked, and then you set it up and you make extra money. Boom.
There
That
you
ties
go.
into your work week. They're 32
Shut up, Whitney. Okay, so you work 32 hours, but the trade-off is you need to participate in the fight club.
Sign me up. Don't threaten me with a good time. Listen, I'm gonna start right down my like fuck Mary. James got one coming. Remember Quita? Quita, yep. Quita did it. Look, you know how many people would find like probably like they would be
People would probably get
satisfied.
satisfaction out of that.
Then you go back to work like, keep it up. You're gonna be in another.
We
drawing.
gonna yeah, they're gonna avoid you. They were like, oh, there's workplace intimidation and shit.
And without any consequences.
Yeah, that's the big thing. No consequences. Like you could really beat somebody's ass. You can't kill them.
No,
We're not talking about
No, no,
purge or nothing like that. But
No, you just like slap them up a little bit. This is just all in fun. But I'm just thinking, like, how cool would that be? Like
slap boxing contest.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I would say I would participate in that. I'm thinking, would you participate?
Oh, I know I would.
You would?
I know I would. Oh, absolutely.
You
I know
would? I think I
There's
would.
nobody at my in my current company. Like I've been there for 7, 8 years now. There's nobody that I would.
No, there's nobody. I'm just saying.
Like old jobs that you like really hated?
No. It didn't even have to be people from jobs. I'm just saying people in general.
Just random people.
Random people in general. I'm not talking jobs.
I thought you were just talking jobs.
No, I'm talking about that great
Just the
auntie
streets.
you wanna that great auntie you wanna slap up a little bit, smack. No, I'm joking, but no, for real, how cool would that be? That was just a silly what if. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's like off the walls. And then we start getting alien visitors like, oh yeah, you got to see this. These American these
They do
Earthlings are something
They,
else.
they do that already. Oh my goodness. Well, moral of the story is, what if we applied all of these what ifs and we really made it happen?
The positive ones. We definitely don't want a what if fight club. At least I
was
don't.
serious.
You come.
don't
Mommy
know
came
about
home with a
you.
black eye. No, and then the kids in school gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm signing you up for Fight Club."
My mom and your
My
mom.
mom's gonna be your dad's ass.
Yo, that would be
That's
like
funny.
I'd be the bomb.
That's
But
funny.
at any rate, thank you all for tuning in and listening
To the shenanigans.
To the shenanigans. That was just like our version of like what if. So again, tune in. We could be heard on again Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple. I think it's Apple Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts or something like that. Yeah.
Spotify,
And a
all
bunch of
the
other stuff.
above, a bunch of other stuff. Just check us out and make sure you follow us on Instagram too. It's the
Distinctive BS podcast. Yes.
Oh, we said that in sync. That was kind of cool. Let's try it again.
The Distinctive BS.
No,
It's
we
not-
fucked it up.
It's not bullshit. It's
That's
BS.
right. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. We had it right the first time. That
Yeah,
one
that's
matters.
all right.
So, all right. Thank you all for listening and
And tuning in.
Thank you. I was thinking about tooling. I don't know what
Tooling.
tooling is, but I just made it up.
Okay.
But thank you guys for tuning in to us and listen and continue to follow. Bye bye.
Catch y'all next time.